Good morning, YouTube. It's Key here. Welcome to my channel. As you know, I stated that I am a stay-at-home mom and the kids are getting older and less independent less dependent on me. And so now I am trying to find me, Key. That's me. Trying to find Key. And so I thought I would get on here and have a chit chat with you all about my weekend. Sorry, I had been eating some M&Ms and I feel like there was some, you know how you get stuff in your teeth, but I'm sorry for that. Okay. So I went this weekend, and I really wanted to talk about on the subject of going back, because that's one of the big things that sometimes you have to do when you're trying to find yourself, rediscover. That's what it is. Rediscovering Key. That's what let me know if I should change finding Key to rediscovering Key or rediscovering me. Give me some suggestions down there what you think that I should call my vlog diaries, this series of finding myself. But anyway, so I had to go back to my hometown this past Saturday. And unfortunately, you don't seem to see people or, death, funerals, and weddings, or when most people get together, family, longtime friends, And so I had to go back home because of death in the family. And let me tell you, it wasn't easy for me because I tried to figure out, okay, I want to go. Because these people have been good to me. These people are like my family. Like, I dare me not go to be with my cousins or my aunt, at this time. And so I was thinking all the way up until I got in my car, like, how can I get out of this? What can I tell them the reason why I didn't go? I can't use that I'm scared of the rain and stuff anymore because I've gotten over. I am still scared of driving in the rain after my car wrecks, but I've been driving and I just drive slow. I get there when I get there, honey. That's just what I'm doing. And so I can't use that because that's not true. And I just had anxiety, but let me just say that I am so happy that I did not let the anxiety, my emotions, and my fear get the best of me, because I needed that. Like, I needed to go back. Sometimes it is good to go back, not like just look back, kind of glance back, but don't stay there for a long time. That don't mean go back and cop a squad, pitch a tent, none of that. So these people, this is the family that I call myself running away from my mama when I was a teenager. I was running away, trying to find my daddy, my biological father. And this family is my stepfather's family. And, like I said, I haven't told you guys that I have like the best, what the world calls my stepdad. He's my dad. He's my father. He's my everything. Like, he's my hero. I'm not his child, not biologically, but you couldn't tell that man any different. And his family has, this side of the family anyway, like his cousins and stuff, they have loved me like I'm theirs. And so when I call myself running away, they just open their arms and love me until they send me back home. But anyway, I'm so happy that I went there and to be with them, because you just forget how important people are to you and how much you miss them and all the roles that they've played in your life. And honestly, I'm happy that I went back, because really, that's going back home is where I was born, that's where my foundation began, And the realization is um, that's the root of my insecurities. That's the root of some of the pain that I have. It's the root to why I isolate and withdraw from people. And so, in order for me to rediscover who the essence of me, I have to go back. And as painful as it is, or as much anxiety that it gives me, it's also healing. There's healing in it. And so I'm driving, and I'm driving through the mountains, and as I get closer, like, I'm literally, when I tell you, like, my stomach was just like in knots, and I was getting anxious, and I'm thinking, oh my God, like, do I really want to pull up here? Who's going to be looking at me crazy, looking at me sideways? Because you always got that one, maybe two people that be looking at you real crazy, asking questions like, why is she here? Like, is she really kin to them? Like, what made her come? But I am from a small town. I mean, small country hillbilly town called Lynch, Kentucky. And saying it out loud and saying the word Lynch, Kentucky, it's funny, but that's where I'm from. And honestly, that place, I mean, so much memories just started flooding through my head the closer I got to my destination. And I mean, but the funny thing is, in that moment, like, all of the memories that flooded my heart, flooded my mind, was happy memories. Like, that is a place where a kid could be a kid. Let me just tell y'all, we made up games every week. We had something, a new adventure that we'd have made up. We played in the creek one week. We cleared out paths up in the mountain area. I mean, we used to play kickball. I mean, we would go out at the park and play baseball. I played baseball and football with boys. Like, I had so much fun. I'm not going to tell you that. I mean, I had fun, and then I had some things that just, I wish that didn't happen, but they did. But amen for that. Like, but literally, we used to have the most fun. If I have to say so, I mean, literally being a teen or a kid, period, there was so much fun. It really was. We got into any and everything. And the fact that when we all get together, it doesn't matter. I mean, we've all probably done fought each other, cursed each other out, child. Let me just tell you, talked about each other's mamas and daddies and just everything. But when we get together, we have these stories that we can tell, and we just laugh at it. At the time, it was not funny. It didn't feel good. But, and let me just say, my ex-husband is still living there, and he was there, and we haven't spoken in a year. And honestly, life is just too short to be going through life with harboring unforgiveness and just all the ugliness that happens when a relationship is broken, and there's hurt from both sides, and then there's a child involved. And but for the most part, like, he was my best friend. Literally, he was my best friend. Like, we can get on the phone and we can talk about everything and everyone. And then the next thing you know, we're just fighting like cats and dogs, and I don't understand why. But even that, it was good seeing him, seeing his mom, and I mean, it was just, I don't know. I'm sitting over here trying to figure. I started this conversation because of going back, like, realizing that was where my insecurities of myself come from. Remember when I said that I realized that my idol in my life, and it was like a real major idol that I've had in my life, was worrying about what people thought about me? Well, that's where it come from. Because have you ever just wanted to be a part of something, or to be accepted? And I struggled with acceptance. wanting people to like me and not judge me because of my mom, my dad, or, my grandparents or my uncles. And that's a place where, sometimes that's what they do there. Like, and maybe they don't even realize they do it, but it's done. And so my family, my mother's family, I don't think that we were considered the it family. They were considered, what I remember and how I felt was my family were considered as the crazy, drunk, fighting family. And mind you, everybody's family got drunks in it, got drug addicts in it, you got angry people in it. But my mom's father was a coal miner, and he was an angry man. He beat my grandmother a lot. He probably beat his kids a lot. From what I know is my mom and them lived in a house of hell, a house where it was angry. It was a house where, it was a lot of abuse taking place, verbal and physical, emotional. And so, my mom's parents died when she was very young. Her mother died when she was 8, and her father died when she was 10. And so the brothers and sisters, they raised each other. So can you imagine kids raising themselves and all they know how you handle things is cursing, putting hands on one another and hooping and hollering. And that's what you continue to teach. And so I guess that's what people saw, that's all they can see past. But I'm here to say that my mom is one of the sweetest women that you would know. Yes, she cursed. Yeah, she can act a fool, but who can't? But she would do anything for anybody. Like, she would give you her last. The 3 uncles that I'm close to, they are the sweetest men that I know. They're always willing to help, give a helping hand. But the sad thing is they've always wanted to be liked. They've always wanted to have a sense of belonging. And when you want to be liked or want to have a sense of a place to belong, you try to do anything to be cool and to be a part of something. And that's what I see. You know how you have those popular kids and then you have the not so popular kids. Well, I felt like I was in that state. I might have been like in between. And yeah, I was pegged as an angry child, which I was told you fight. That's what I know. But I also know that that place is where I learned that there is grown people that say that they have your best interests at heart and they really don't. Like, grown people will lie on kids. Do you hear me? Grown people will start rumors that are not true. And I mean, there was so much stuff said about me that it really bothers me. That's where I get that from, worrying about what people say in their opinions, and fighting, saying, that's not true, well, it's not true. Like, so I'm just, and that's what stops people from coming around, that's where my isolation and where, my self-esteem, the low self-esteem came from, and the lack of confidence and feeling like I'm nobody. Feeling like a nobody. Ain't that something? That some people don't realize the effect that they have on your life, by the words that they say over you. And it's funny now, like the same grown-ups that I went home and have to face some of the same people that cannot, stand me as a child, had not so nice things to say about me or my mama. But that's okay, because my mama probably had no nice things to say about them either. And but here we are. I'm all grown up now, and I didn't let that stop me from going to support people that have always supported me. And I guess I needed to go back just to appreciate the my birthplace, appreciate my hometown and its people, all of them. And some people welcomed me with open arms and loved on me, and then I know there was at least one or two that stared at me like they could beat me up, jump on my head, and I laughed in the inside. Like, really? Like, I'm almost 40 years old and you still looking at me like that? Like, where are you at in your life? Like, seriously, like, come on, girl. Come on. But, so I'm sure that there's somebody on here that has had some kind of life issues with going back, and you tend to just isolate because of what people think about you, or you just really don't want to be around people that make you feel bad about you. Like, why hang with people or be around someone that makes you feel bad enough? You feel bad enough already on your own. You don't need nobody else to make you feel bad. So, you know what? I'm just going to cut you out all the way together. I had a friend that was like, we probably on the same page and not realizing, like, yeah, I'm skeptical of people these days. You know what I'm saying? You just never know. You just never know. But I'm glad I went back. And that goes to say, you remember I was telling you how I'm the woman at my BSF? Like, that's why I love the Word of God, because of how healing it is, how real, how true it is. And when you let it apply, how can I apply that to my life? What does that look like in the life of Keith? That's what I'm saying. I don't know about you, but every day I see how he is working and how it all just plays a part. And I'm realizing, like, I had to go through all of that to come to right here, because he has a plan. He has a plan. And like Naomi, she ended up having to go back to her hometown. And when she went back, she was blessed, And me going back, I was blessed to see the root cause of things, but also to see the core of me and what was instilled in me. And one thing what was instilled in me from my hometown is the love of God, going to church, and not so much for me is like the church building, but actually the love of God. That's my foundation. Like, I remember like revivals and different pastors coming, and there was this pastor at the First Baptist Church in Lynch, and I just remember enjoying going to his house. And now his daughter is like a pastor there. When I was a little kid, I just love church. I loved God. I loved Bible study, guys. Like, I loved that stuff. Like, I love singing in the choir. We used to have like the best choir. I'm telling you, like those are the memories that flooded me. Those are the memories that made me happy. And also, like, going to my cousin's house and my Uncle Ben's house. Let me just tell you, I don't know if anybody got an Uncle Ben, but you need to have an Uncle Ben, because I got an Uncle Ben that is amazing. And they like to party. Let me just tell you, but just the old school gatherings, just getting together and laughing, talking about any and everything, and everybody just loving on everybody. And some of it can be a little excessive, just a little bit, But family is family, guys. And we need to do more of getting together and cultivating our relationships, mending some of the ones that have been broken. And that's what I gathered from going back. Like, just having the forgiving heart, learning to forgive, learning to love where you come from. Like, just, it's okay. It's okay that you had pain. It's okay. But let's just move forward. We got to start learning to move forward with each other, you know, and God can use that pain and those insecurities, and look how he weaves it. I mean, hey, I'm able to get on here and talk to you guys because of it. So, hey, I'm grateful for it, and maybe as I'm learning, getting myself back, baby, you're doing the same thing. Like, you're a person that is trying to rediscover yourself, because you have lived for everyone else, live what you thought that you should be. Or maybe is it that, like me, because I know that as a young girl, I had this dream. I had this picture in my head how my life should be, or how I wanted it to be, because of what I did not have. And I became this kind of parent. Like, I parent out of that pain. I parent out of that pain. And that's probably why I've devoted so much of myself to my children the way that I've done. And I've isolated as well because of that pain. And I'm just like, wow, like, what was this all for? Have you just been like, what is this all for? Like, why am I going through this? Why do I need to deal with this? But this is why. Like, it's so that we can talk about it and help someone else that's in it come out of it. Come on now. So I think we just need to really learn to love ourselves. How can we expect other people to love us and like us if we can't love and like ourselves? But you got to start being real with yourself and looking at the core of you. And going back was part of me finding me, and I'm excited. So is there someone on here that has to go back? I know that it might be hard just go back just a little bit, just to see where some things come from. Like, why do you feel a certain way? You know what I mean? Like, there's triggers. We all have triggers, and some of that is what causes us to be who we are today. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, but God will use it all for the good and the glory of him if we just let go. So I'm going to leave you guys with this one thing that in the funeral, the pastor that did the eulogy, I love him because, he reminded me of, he was the first person that ever talked to me about the gift of discernment. And I remember one time I was telling him how I really feel and all the stuff that was going on in my head. And he drew on this board and he told me that in the word, like, how they had to take the woman out of the city in order to bless her. And it was so funny that's what he was saying. Like, maybe you have to leave here in order for God to bless you, in order for you to get all that God wants you to have and to see his glory and to grow. And that is the truth. Like, I had to be taken out of the city to be blessed and get all that God has for me. And he said this one thing in the eulogy. It was talking about moving upstairs. I'm moving upstairs. But he said this one thing about he was swimming. He went swimming and he was just flailing. You know, when you go swimming and you think you're drowning, you start struggling. And there was this man that jumped in the water and he just felt someone push him up. And he said, I've been watching you, but I had to wait until you stopped struggling in order to save you. Because if I would have jumped in while you were struggling, you would have brought me down too. Is that not a word? So sometimes I'm realizing that God has been waiting. He's watching everything that we going through, all the stuff that we went through back then when we go in our past. And he's also already know what's going to go on in the future, but he knows what's going on right now. And it's when we stop struggling, stop flailing and fighting, that God can give us that saving push that only he can give. And maybe that's what's going on. Well, ain't no maybe. That's what's going on right now for me. He has been waiting for me to stop struggling with insecurity, struggling with feeling like I'm not enough, struggling with feeling like I'm nobody, struggling with just self doubt, struggling with self love, struggling with self acceptance. You know, he's been waiting for me to stop struggling so that he can give me that saving push. And this is part of me stop struggling by sharing you. I'm sharing my struggles, but I'm no longer, my arms aren't flailing anymore. So maybe somebody here that I'm talking to needs to just stop struggling and allow God to jump in the water with you and give you that saving push. And hopefully that today you've heard something out of my little chit chat. I don't know. I think I'll do better on another. I'm learning. As I'm learning, I'm going to get better at this vlogging. And like as I've always wanted to be, inspirational. And maybe I'll drive it home better the more I do it. But with that being said, let's have a conversation down below about, is there something that you need to go back to? You know, a place in your life that you need to just revisit just for a moment to see where you come from. You know, as you're rediscovering yourself, is there a place that you need to go? Or have you already went back and realized some stuff that the core of you? Have you already went back and realized that, oh, wow, this is why I do XYZ. Oh, man. You know, it's one of those aha moments. You know, let's talk about it down below about where's your foundation? And do you need to go back to see it again? Well, this is key here. I'm trying to find me. So as I'm finding me, hopefully you're finding you. And let's keep these conversations going down in the comment section down below. And before you get off of here, I would like for you to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you'll be notified every time that I make a post. And let's keep the conversation going. And remember, transparency frees self and others. You all have a good day. Thanks for listening.